NBA insider Shams Charania. Donovan Mitchell signing an extension. Shams, what are the details?
And a 4 years, $273 million max contract extension through 2031 for Donovan Mitchell. And he could have waited till next summer, waited the full next season to be able to sign for an additional fifth season and an extra $80 million. But the first day Donovan Mitchell was eligible for an extension was today, and he, his agent Austin Brown, Kobe Altman, the team president, Dan Gilbert, the owner, spoke. They came to terms on a deal that now gives the Cavs stability before Donovan Mitchell was going to be entering the final guaranteed year of his deal. And we know the types of pressure that comes with that. And this is now the second extension that Donovan Mitchell has signed in Cleveland ever since he got there in 2022. And this is a stamp and a pledge to his commitment in Cleveland as this team clearly tries to compete for a championship in the East.
And compete for the LeBron sweepstakes as well, because you reported the Cavs are trying to lure him back to Cleveland. How does this extension play into that picture?
Hannah, it doesn't hurt that a franchise cornerstone has now committed, doubled down on his commitment to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And Donovan Mitchell, I'm told, has been very active and a significant part of the conversations the Cavs officials have been having this summer on upgrading the roster. And yes, that includes the pursuit of LeBron James. And I'm told behind has made it clear that he would embrace LeBron coming to the Cavaliers and joining him in Cleveland. Another wing as well that the Cavs have pursued here in free agency is Jonathan Kuminga, unrestricted free agent after his team option was declined by Atlanta. Kenny Atkinson coached Jonathan Kuminga in Golden State as an assistant. So LeBron James is the first priority for the Cavaliers, and Donovan Mitchell is fully on board with that and upgrading the Cavs roster overall after they made a run to the Eastern Conference Finals.
And then, of course, they got to figure out the James Harden of it all as well. Very interesting stuff, Shams. Thank you so much. And wherever he ends up, you can expect LeBron to be in peak form. Look at this. He posted this clip in the gym yesterday. This is a 41-year-old.
I really want to try that, to be honest.
Not with them heavyweights.
I was going to say, do you think you could?
Counterweights to help.
Do you? Okay.
No,
I can't do it.
You just got to be able to hold first.
That's just, that's like otherworldly. Okay, you heard
The
them.
athlete in us is like, give me one shot at that.
Hold first, and then I can add the weights.
I love it. Monica McNutt, Sinead, we're going to be here all day, so that's why we have the W ball here, right? We're all day, all night. Wendy, hello to you. Very interesting stuff we just heard there. Hey, first of all, how does this contract situation, this extension, what does this do for the immediate future of the Cavs?
Well, this is, huge welcome news for the Cavs because I think they were bracing themselves for the reality that Donovan would pass on the contract extension offer because it just made so much more sense to wait until next year. We're seeing Nikola Jokic, in fact, who's a pride and, totally through and through Denver Nugget. He intends to wait for next year because he wants to be able to get more guaranteed money. And Donovan Mitchell doing this now enables the Cavs to make plans for the future. Beyond their pursuit of LeBron James, this is about getting their team in best position to compete in the medium term. Now, the Cavs were a second apron team last year. They want to move into next season not being in the second apron. And that is part of what an opt-out and extension of a new contract with James Harden will be about. And for the Cavs to go through this offseason, again, regardless of whether they win the LeBron James sweepstakes or not, get out of the second apron and retain their entire core, which is Harden, Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. They didn't have to get any of those players off of their roster. That is a successful offseason. And so when they traded for Donovan Mitchell, there were a lot of people who did not believe he would make one contract extension. At age 29, he is committing the rest of his prime with a second contract extension. It's a huge victory for the Cavs organization. And look, the $75 million that they're going to owe him at age 35, I agree. In the age of teams moving off and not wanting Jaylen Brown at $57 million, maybe that contract will have a different feel 5 years from now. But the Cavs are very happy to enter into it to know that they're getting him in his prime for the foreseeable future.
I mean, if he's in the same kind of shape that LeBron is at age 41, I don't see that as much of a risk.
High bar him.
I know. Listen, you just heard what everybody's kind of reporting, maybe the Jonathan Kuminga, but we expect James Harden to be back. Is there a better situation than Cleveland in your mind for LeBron?
I still have questions about Philly. I know I might be in the minority on that. But when I look at where LeBron would take his talents next, I'm thinking of where he's going to have the least mileage in terms of games played and experience and the most youth around him that he can help move forward. And I know folks will debate on what role he wants to have in his next stop. But I think Cleveland, I personally am a big fan of the full circle moment of it all, the storybook of it all. I think Donovan Mitchell is one of the better options in terms of superstars that are in their prime still that he could be paired with.
To me, this is it, the lineup here, because when I bring out my Rich Paul, whiteboard, I put up this starting lineup, and I'm like, this is plug and play. I know you like that, Wendy. For LeBron James, you have a point guard in James Harden who has completely moved, or at least he should at this point, to straight-up facilitator knocking down open shots. You have Donovan Mitchell, who's locked in for the long term, and when we talk about his tenure, he has been a 4-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA when he's worn a Cleveland Cavaliers uniform, averaging 27 points per game. He's one of the top best players in the league. Evan Mobley, a DPOY, and Jared Allen, who people sleep on the fact that he's two-way. He was once an All-Star, but, he's the type of guy that in the playoffs can provide an oomph, can provide a necessary oomph.
That works.
Especially in the front court. So when I look at the field and starting fives in Cleveland, and I'm LeBron James, and I love being at home, getting that home cooking, I might see I can just insert myself at the 3. We can play small ball with me at the 4. We can go super big and play with me at the 3. There are options here that might actually really work.
I love what you did there because the shortcoming, guys, as we've seen the last couple seasons for the Cavs, has been being able to show up in the playoffs. This year, yes, Donovan Mitchell and James Harden are able to achieve something by getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. If LeBron is healthy, and that's been an if at this point in his career, but if he's healthy, he could be the confidence that they might need.
Hey, LeBron led them to a first-round playoff win.
That's what I'm saying is if he's healthy, he was the only one healthy at the end of the year.
That's right.
That's fair.
Because you were following the Knicks very closely.
That's right. They beat our Rockets. That's how we know. They beat the Rockets.
He was healthy in that series.
I know. He sure was. Wendy, really quick, James Harden, where does he fit into all of this?
Yeah, James Harden is going to re-sign with the Cavs, and when he re-signs with the Cavs, his new contract is going to take them out of the second apron, and that's what their long-term plan has been. But James Harden, like quite a few players in the league, for example, like Draymond Green, is waiting for LeBron James' decision. And if it would help the Cavs funnel more money to LeBron, I think James Harden is willing to change the terms of his contract. Not necessarily less guaranteed money, but maybe to stretch a new deal from 2 years to 3 years. Because what the Cavs are trying to achieve is get enough money underneath the second apron that they can add LeBron potentially for more than the minimum. The idea of LeBron James coming to your team at $6 million or $4 million for the minimum is in crazy great efficiency.
Yeah.
So,
no, that is wild.
Whatever, I think Harden is, Sham said, I think Donovan Mitchell is embracing the concept. I think James Harden is embracing the concept. And look, last year, LeBron did everything from play point guard to center for the Lakers.
Yes,
Not in 2019, last year. So I would argue he could be plug and play on any roster.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Mobley's making, $221 million, and Allen $90 million. And, just to think of LeBron being, by far the least paid person on that roster.
He is in a different chapter of his life and a different tax bracket.
Correct. But it's still crazy to think about. All right. Meanwhile, what about the Heat? Okay, so their off-season moves, now official. Obviously, the big one that started it all, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Bobby Portis, Tim Hardaway Jr., everybody joining the squad. They also revealed Giannis is going to wear number 7 next season. He did appear. Breaking news on NBA Today, the Knicks championship celebrations may have finally come to an end.
No chance. Sorry.
They're never going to, says Monica. Shams Charania, though, is reporting the Finals MVP Jalen Brunson's undergoing surgery. They're about 3.5 weeks removed from winning the title. So, Shams, what are the details on this? Seems like it was pretty quiet on this particular injury during the Finals.
And Jalen Brunson underwent this procedure on his shooting hand, his left wrist, earlier today, and my mic is off.
Yeah,
actually.
I know. I was gonna say.
So we're gonna.
I was just kind of waiting there. You know what? Sean,
get this mic in.
It's been a long run. It has been a long run, my friend. Okay, Mike is back on. All right, let's go.
Let's try this again. So, Hannah, earlier today, Jalen Brunson underwent surgery on his left wrist, and the impressive part here is Jalen Brunson played through this injury during the playoffs, during the Knicks' finals run this past season. He's going to need a month, 2 months for this recovery. The expectation is that Jalen Brunson will return to full basketball activities later on in the summer, but this is his shooting wrist, his left wrist, so this is something he had to get taken care of today, had to get it cleaned up, and now he's going to rehab this, recover it, and should be a go later in this summer, this offseason.
All right, Shams, well done, including the mic change there. We appreciate you so much. He's like the hardest working guy on the planet right now. Monty, nobody was closer to the Knicks than you, really, during this run. Did you have, like, any indication? I guess you guys knew that he was hurting in some ways, but doesn't this make what he did even more impressive?
Absolutely. It certainly does. But Jalen Brunson is the type of player, and he comes from the stock that if he's on the floor, he's going to give it his best. He's not going to make any excuses. And so finding out in hindsight that there was an injury that will require surgery only adds to his lore and his status as the king of New York. But there were a couple of times in the postseason run, Hannah, where he did go down in the course of games and go back to the locker room. He always returned to the floor, though. And so, no, I did not know that this was something that would ultimately land in a doctor's office needing to be medically repaired. But again, he's a guy that will never make an excuse.
It's one thing to have an injury, right, as a basketball player. It's another thing to have an injury to your hand because we have to shoot the ball, and it being your shooting hand and being in the NBA Finals and finding a way to still bring it home. And not just bring it home, but drop a 40-piece.
Come on now.
In order to secure the city's championship for the first time in 53 years. Sir, go there.
Come on now.
Amazing.
But when I think about, I think the aspect you're talking about, like we talk about the trophies and all the fun and the parade, Queen of New York.
Hey,
right?
girl. Yes.
But at the same time, I think about those moments early in the Spurs series where he went back to the locker room, and because they know of his toughness, the team kept playing and kept playing. And it's almost like they knew he was going to come back because that's just what the cloth he's cut from. And so to hear this in hindsight and also know that he has the requisite amount of time to recover before next season, I'm glad he's have his time. He's getting healthy, getting all
that toughness just pervading that entire team, just part of their DNA, as it was back in the days when they were winning championships before.
Very reflective of those older teams.
All right, they are favored to repeat as East champions at plus 320, followed by the two teams who made that big trade that shook up the conference. The Celtics at plus 450, the Sixers at plus 750. So now to that trade that actually became official on Monday. Jalen Brown is going to wear number 7 for the Sixers, Kyle Lowry's old number. Paul George becomes the newest member of the Boston Celtics, and the Celtics thank Jalen Brown on social media, saying in part, the impact that you made both on and off the court will forever be felt by the city of Boston and Celtics fans everywhere. Thank you to one of the all-time great Celtics. Don't sleep on that line. So why did this trade happen? Well, team president Brad Stevens talked about his reasoning on Monday.
The path looked a little bit more challenging to me. I might be wrong. I'm not going to stand up here and be defensive about that. But the path looked a little bit more challenging with 70% of our cap and such a high percent of our usage tied into 2 players. You have to do a great job, and you have to have the optionality to do a great job of building out depth that can hopefully replace the irreplaceable individual. And that's not an easy thing to do. I lost sleep over the fan part of this. I get it. Like, there's a bunch of 7 jerseys around. We're not up here to defend ourselves in this decision that is going to certainly be scrutinized. We're okay with that, but we're more so dealing with the emotions of Jalen not being here, just like you are.
He's not the only one who's out there. Look at this. Just 2 years after they win the NBA title, look who's gone. The Celtics core from that 2024 NBA Finals is down to just Derek White and Jason Tatum. It's kind of stark, right? So the word that Brad Stevens used over and over was optionality. He kept saying that. What did he mean? Did what he said really change anybody's mind about this trade? What exactly did he say, Brian?
Yeah, he came out trying to influence hearts and minds. And while I think he and Bill Chisholm, the majority holder, the governor of the Celtics, were very respectful of the fans for coming out, and they took questions for 45 minutes. They really wanted to answer everything that was there. I think they were trying to be respectful of Jalen Brown. I don't think they won any hearts and minds over why they did this. And I think that's because they really didn't present the real case for trading him. They did a lot of vague talk, talking about, terms like optionality, like they could turn, things that they acquired into other things. But I don't think that, Brad wanted to totally say why he did this, because it might be considered a little bit coarse and offensive, because obviously Jaylen Brown is viewed as one of the great Celtics of this last generation. And so he said he was going to lose sleep over the fan reaction. I would love to know if he lost sleep over the decision, because I think they're at peace with it. He admitted he could be wrong. Of course he could be wrong. But I think they did a nice job from a public relations standpoint of holding their cards close to the vest.
Yeah, I mean, he really did delineate the team decision from the fan decision, the fan reaction. He did that a couple of times. I mean, how should the fans feel, especially after what they just heard? They're not feeling any differently.
Confused. Now, I will say this, and I know the question to me is about the fans, but 2 summers ago, or last summer, when the decision was made out of Dallas, I remember being at an event with Nico Harrison. And the one thing you will say about GMs and these decision makers is they stand by the risks that they are willing to take. And I think that, more than anything, is what I draw from that press conference with Brad Stevens. Whether you buy how he tried to dress it up, that's a whole separate conversation. But these guys are paid a lot of money. And to Stevens' credit, he's got a track record of making decisions as far as the Celtics are concerned that lead to success. Now, I'm with Wendy, though. When the tell-all book comes out, baby, I'm signing me up. I need the pre-order.
What was the real reason? Right.
I mean, I think everyone knows he has a credibility in the basketball world, the executive of the year type of person that demands respect from the decisions he made, because part of them yielded a championship. But still, I see this more so as, like, we saw phase 1 with Porzingis and Horford and people leaving, and then we knew that it was, it's the money implications, it's a second apron, it's trying to create, it's new ownership, like there's a shift happening. Now it feels like this is phase 2. Phase 2, meaning Jaylen Brown is out. Now Jason Tatum is the centerpiece. Derek White is the only other, main guy remaining. And so I think the question is vision in this phase 2. How are we going to compete? Because a lot of the fans see Jaylen Brown going to the 76ers and not too far away as helping the enemy in some ways.
Oh, sure. So it's one of their greatest rivals, right?
And if you lost to this team and then somehow they look a little bit better, and you're hearing LeBron James's name swirling out there as a potential there too, it's like we need a vision on how we are going to compete. Because we did see just a small sample size of Jason Tatum, and we all know he's an All-NBA top type of player. But I think that's the question. Like, there was a lot of vagueness, but we need the vision. And I'm excited to see that come to fold the next few months for what the...
It ain't going to be this year.
I'm just... that's the thing. It's not going to be this year. And that's kind of what he was saying, right? Like, I'm going to set us up for moves down the road, all those chess moves. So do you think, are we going to view this trade potentially differently a couple of years from now, Wendy?
We might view it differently this upcoming season. Now, look, it's very possible that Jaylen Brown's going to have an all-NBA second-team year for the Sixers, and the Sixers are going to have a better season, and there's going to be I told you so's all over the place. But what I think Brad Stevens is not articulating is that they look at their team and they see that Hugo Gonzalez can give more, that Baylor Shireman can give more, that Paul George can give good production and then potentially be traded for something, in the short-term future. That the draft pieces that they have can give more. And that when all the dust settles, that the production that they're getting is equal to or above what Jaylen Brown brought. Peyton Pritchard, I think, could get a larger role. He just can't delineate that, nor will he delineate that right now, because it puts them in a bad spot. But clearly they made this decision based on the way they view their roster going forward, and they think that their guys on their roster can take bigger roles to cover for the loss of Jaylen Brown.
And also based on what they saw this season, that quite simply they were not good enough to compete in the playoffs.
They had this... Okay, I'm sorry.
No, Monty,
Wendy, I hear you, and I understand gambling on the guys that you are that are there that you believe can give more. But what unlocked all of them? Being around Jaylen Brown, having a top 6 MVP caliber year, like that matters when you're talking about role players being able to be elite.
And when you say kept them afloat, he was the anomaly in the Missoula system that kept defenses honest, because he was so good in isolation. He was so good in mid-range. He was so good in off the dribble. So you could have a cacophony of shooters all around Jaylen Brown. And it sort of created balance to that system that is heavy threes. And you insert a Paul George who is more three and more system. It's just getting more of what you like, but I don't know if it's what you necessarily need.
This is exactly why fans were upset. Okay, because this does not pass the eye test, including one little guy Look at this. I don't know if y'all saw this.
I did.
The young fan, you know, and you just hate this for young fans.
Heartbroken.
I absolutely hate this, but guess what? He got to meet his hero.
Okay, the second part.
The update is
Yes, so I'm so, look, is that,
gosh, how
so
cute.
sweet.
is that the sweetest
And this is
thing,
why we love
Jaylen Brown?
With the glasses, I love it.
And look at his little bow tie, like he's dressed up. What a...
You can be a fan of players no matter what team they're on, okay? I think he learned that lesson.
Do you think that baby will rise to a Sixers fan?
I think he will.
Okay.
I love it. That was adorable.
New Jersey.
All right. Coming up, we're going to talk some W because, you know, we're going to be doing that all night tonight. We're going to announce the All-Star reserves, and we have thoughts on who we think should make it.
We are Monica.
It's around the corner. NBA offseason is cooking. Let's catch you up with Coast to Coast, starting with DeMar DeRozan, waived by the Kings on Monday. So, Wendy, he's just 236 points shy of moving into 15th on the all-time scoring list. What are you hearing about his future?
Yeah, well, teams know he's getting $10 million this year from the Kings, so they may be able to get him at a discount. This would be a great pickup for some team with limited money but needs the big production. How about a couple of teams that fit that list? Number one, the Miami Heat. He would be a very good option as a starting small forward, especially if LeBron James picks elsewhere. And the Los Angeles Lakers, his hometown in LA. The Lakers, I think, are chasing some other free agents but would have interest here. And keep an eye on some other teams as time develops.
Speaking of the Lakers, Rui Hachimura, he's staying in L.A. Not with the Lakers. He's signing a 2-year, $28 million deal with the Clips. What does that mean for both L.A. teams, Wendy?
Nice value for the Clippers here. The market had dried up a little bit on Rui. They get him with nice value. He's averaged over 40% from three-point range each of the last 3 years. And I got to say, this creates a remarkable bit of trivia, Hannah, in that the Lakers lost the 5 highest minute players from their playoff roster last year. Obviously, Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves were out with injury, but their 5 highest guys who played into the second round will no longer be there.
That's crazy. Kawhi's leaving L.A. We know that. That's not all he's leaving behind, Wendy. What's the significance between him signing a new agent this offseason?
Well, obviously, his last agents have been implicated in potential wrongdoing with the aspiration case, and the NBA continues to have a law firm investigate that. When Kawhi Leonard was on the trade block, it was understood that he would have a say in where he would go because of where he was willing to sign an extension. There was a short list. The Raptors were at the top of it. And so the understanding was as soon as he got there, he would talk about an extension with whomever he decided to hire to do so.
And speaking of the Raptors, Kyle Lowry delivered on his final promise as a player. He had long vowed to re-sign with them so he could retire as a member of the Toronto franchise that he helped bring a championship to. And earlier today, he made it happen. So it's July 7th. It's 7-7, a nod to the number 7 jersey that he wore in his 9 seasons with the Raptors. All-time leader in assists, steals, and threes, ranked second behind the guy we mentioned at the top of this, DeMar DeRozan. Giannis reflected on his time in Milwaukee.
Maybe I've waited too long, you know, and I see guys playing deep into the playoffs, and I think I'm like, okay, maybe if I switch teams and I go somewhere else and I have a better opportunity, I can play deep in the playoffs. I can go try to chase another championship because I really want that. And I'm scared that maybe if I don't take that decision, that when I'm going to be 37, 38 years old, hopefully, and I'm retiring, I'm going to say, why? Like, why you didn't take that risk? You know, and people don't understand. It's a risk.
Yeah, not an easy decision, right? And we saw that play out in real time. He leaves the Bucks, all-time leader in points, rebounds, assists, blocks. Kevin Garnett with the Wolves. He's the only other player to currently lead a franchise in all 4 categories. So we go from a 2-time to a 3-time MVP. Nikola Jokic overseas playing the FIBA World Cup qualifiers. He told reporters there that he wants to wait on signing a possible contract extension with Denver. He said to them, and I quote, "My idea and desire is to stay in Denver. I'll probably sign next year. My desire is to play the rest of my life in Denver. Is that nice to hear? He could add an extra season at around $82 million, so that's a motivation if he waits until next offseason to extend. And that extra contract year is during the year he turns 37 around mid-season. How should the Nuggets fans feel about this, Wendy?
This is the inverse of what Donovan Mitchell did. Donovan Mitchell could have waited a year and decided not to. Nikola Jokic obviously intends to wait a year. In Denver, they rely on their relationship with Jokic and what he said, which is a Nugget for life. So they say they'll be sleeping soundly. The rest of the league says we're going to see that the door was left cracked open, and we're going to just keep an eye on that situation very closely. I will say this. The Nuggets were expected to cut salary this summer, and I do think eventually they will. They're near the second apron, and they have to do it at some point, but they haven't done it yet. So maybe Jokic, just putting off his decision will convince the Nuggets to spend a little bit more luxury tax money this year.
Yeah, listen, I mean, the West is just getting tougher. Yes, yes.
And let's not sleep on the fact that there are sleepers in this LeBron James conversation, because we talk about the Denver Nuggets, and I remember that whiteboard, and I saw a team on there, and they are still in the running, and you look at what people do. He said, I want to be here for the long term. Noted. Yeah, you can see in the corner there's Denver, and Murray, and Johnson, and Gordon, and Jokic. That's
I see your Knicks in there. I see all sorts of teams in there.
Yep. So I'm here thinking about, okay, could we also see this as a possibility? Rich, big bro Rich, big little bro for me.
Girl.
This is Rich Paul, for those of you that don't know that she is referring to.
Can we get it narrowed down with the whiteboard? I would love that. As the day's going, we need an update. So I'm just manifesting.
He was with his podcast partner yesterday. Tried to ask him about 1,000 times, and he just wouldn't give anything. He wouldn't say anything about this. But as Wendy knows, right, we're all going to find out at the last second, right, my friend?
Everybody's basing their guess on vibes. There's very, very little actionable information. I wish I had the information. All I see out there is a lot of vibes.
Vibes are good, Wendy. Vibes are good. They're good.
I'm just saying, Wendy, when you're talking vibes are really good here. And they're going to be tonight because we have WNBA Countdown at 7:30 Eastern. We got Gino. We got Robin Roberts calling the game. We're going to name the All-Star Reserve. So, Wendy, see you later.